But if they can do it, they would also be the only team to have won 2 PCS events back to back. Long way to go. But if they are going to do it, if they are going to be this unstoppable force, they kind of need to still, you know, play Erangel a little bit better. We'll see how they go here. As you can see, the rankings on Erangel firmly in favor of Fury and Buriram. And I'm actually just sort of scrolling my eyes down. 11th. There's LG Divine. 6 points average for LG Divine on Erangel. That needs to be bumped up just a bit.
Yeah, it definitely does, although not by a huge margin. If they can get 15 points, you know, something like that out of the games on Erangel, that would be more than enough to keep them in first place at the end of today. So I think for LG Divine, it's not a hugely high-pressure situation so much as a situation where they can look to improve on what they did yesterday. And, I mean, it's pretty evident based on the games on Miramar so far that they have a really good understanding of the rotations that they need to make on that map. But the question is, are they going to be able to have that same sort of understanding on Erangel? Because they didn't show that yesterday, and all eyes are in their direction. Over to Pachinki as well. We were discussing this a little bit earlier on this evening, Xenox, as to whether or not we would be seeing that contest in Pachinki between Magic and Ferox. And so far, the answer is yes. Both teams still wanting to root in that location.
Ferox still making their way out of Pachinki very slowly. Magic Esports around Potato Hill. So nothing came of that, just as the update. And that Pachinki battle, which wasn't even a battle, and I don't think will be much of a battle throughout the PCS3 APAC tonight. It's the knock on to GenForce, who's out in the open. Kamal's just going to send this one straight in. Tanoy on the other side of this little shack. GenForce has been eliminated.
Not a good spot for Kamal to be stuck. Look, Maximus up on the top of the hill. Kim Siva there as well. It's going to be pretty rough here for Victim Rise, but Kamal's, he comes up big. Tinoy, he just sent it. He just ran straight at him. Takes the 1v1, and, I mean, obviously he's gone down as a result. Could have slowed that a little bit more so and waited for the backup from Maximus and Six Sacks. Now they're going to have to go forward, but I don't think they know Chibarit is there. And they certainly do not. He's got the knock on to Six Sacks. Molly goes straight in. Probably not deep enough to finish off both of these players, but certainly enough to keep them locked inside of that building. And it is Kim Siva that is going to have to be the saving grace here for Sharper.
Chibarit's got to be aggressive here. Unfortunately, the Molotov was not successful. Kim Siva's actually got knocked down. Sharper Esports had just been eliminated from what feels like a two-man duo. Samoy did do some work towards the end of that, but credit to Kamals and Chibarit. It's an interesting position. I feel like we don't really see this sort of, you know, Snake Way area too often. And the fact that Potato Hill is also in this late into the game, phase 3 isn't really that late, but for the most part, an area like Potato Hill doesn't usually stay in too much. Usually it's the farm area, Jordan, that we see a lot more of these sort of circles. So teams are now going to have to shift away from farm and Milta, where a lot of teams were quite stacked. They need to rotate over in the more western direction, over towards the likes of LG Divine, Unicorn from the future. Day Trade have just gone over to the docks on the beach. Magic Esports in a good spot as well at the compound south of Potato Hill. So you've got quite a few teams well situated for this phase 3 shift, but so many that were around Milta, around farm, that are finding it very difficult. As you can see here, Fury getting quite beaten up on this rotation, but have been able to keep 3 up. Have lost insight though earlier on.
Flood was definitely lucky to get away with his life. Like Ikamukau, the Dacia, not really going to be going too far, so he's probably going to have to run it. Rod Meow gets knocked, which might relieve some pressure and allow Ronan to make the rotation to, I would say, I guess, the Wizzy. Yeah, maybe those northern 2 buildings that they're sitting in might just clip the southern part of the circle. See where it goes, and yeah, more or less. So Day Trade will be happy with that. So will Bay. LG Divine again, sitting right in the center of the circle. They just seem to be reading things perfectly at the moment. Buriram have heard Angel Alliance rotating up on them, and they're going to win the duels as well. Nordra and Kanaxi just putting Nan and Agent Bots to bed. Angel Alliance, they've had a long rotation to get here. If you've been watching the mini-maps, Xenox, they've just been driving this whole game. And only now are they trying to contest for a position, but man, it hasn't gone well for them at all. Mad Dog's done, surely. Yeah.
Well, they're going to go out here with no points. They've only picked up 1 point so far here on day number 2 of PCS3 APAC. Talk about pressure. Talk about Mad Dog, though, just surviving this at the moment and being a bit of a nuisance. Unfortunately, bad timing as he picked out the smoke grenade at the wrong time right as Kadaxi pushed in. Buriram do deal with Angel Alliance, but now they're going to deal with Cerberus, Nordra, Edie, both knocked down. Fortunately, though, this is not a breach. It's just from a distance.
They're not going to push that. They don't want to leave the safety of their compound. Cerberus are already inside of the zone. Nice couple of knocks for them to continue to put that pressure onto Buriram. They've got the blue at their back. They're going to need to heal up quite quickly. They're going to need to make a rotation in. And now they're going to have to deal with if some of their players are getting knocked, you know, faster revives as well later on down the track. So still good pressure being put on. Oh, there's a flip from one of the VTR players. It was Chibarit. He's landed on all four wheels. Luckily, he can keep driving forward, but they are driving directly at LG Divine, which, I mean, so far has gone okay. It's a 1-for-1. Levi's getting in the mix, though, will finish off Seymour. And now from the future, also making their mark on this fight.
Yeah, unfortunately for Victim Rise, they did get one. They got Nikki from LG Divine. He has been eliminated. Chibaret just sitting inside of his building. 6 kills for Victim Rise. If they do go out here, I think you could probably say it's been a decent game regardless.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. And unfortunately for them, it's just the fact that the compound that they chose to breach was LG Divines. And this is going to make it a little bit harder for LG Divine to win this game now from here, down a player, because in all of their Miramar wins, they've been able to have their 4 players alive based on the fact that they've been pretty much dead center. While they are dead center for this circle, they lost a player to that breach. Flood just being a nuisance to God, Meow, and Edie. Yeah, LG Divine looking great right now. Bay in a good position too. Both teams actually, of those 2 teams, down to 3 players. And while Mip and Zuzu and Chibaret combined get an MC and Levi's. Although revives should take place, you would think so. In this case, Jun's not actually in the same building as Levi's and MC, and Jun may not feel comfortable enough to make the run over.
He can. Yeah, I don't think he can.
Well, he can, and I think he's got no choice. I think he has to go for it.
Well, he's doing it. He is going for it. I'm seeing on the map right now. We're obviously watching Fury make their rotation, but
there it is.
Jun, this is the important run from him, and he's managed to get to the building. Levi's looks safe at the moment. He did cop a couple of shots from Bay while he was making that run. And in the meanwhile, Hydra Gaming are going to crash onto from the future. So that's going to turn their attention away from LG Divine. And double knock from Hexagon.
Oh my God.
All right,
well that was... I think we're both a little bit taken back from that one. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get to see it, but a very unsuccessful push in the end from the future, though. Were stopped momentarily from keeping that pressure on LG Divine, so they did get the revives back up. They've got all 3 up now. LG Divine once again. Cerberus and Fury going toe-to-toe. It's Subang with the knockdown of the White Kikabuka. Hayasaki will finish him off. Ronan thrown in the grass, very close. He's not going to get many chances here. Steps up, unfortunately, goes back down. And Fury are out in 11th. And they're unable to sort of keep their Erangel form run that they had from day 1 over into day number 2 for match number 7. Of course, there's one more game to play out after this, though. They can bring it back in that particular match.
Edie under a little bit of pressure right now. We'll jump back up to the north, which is where Ferox is trying to fight out against Purple Mood for a position, or at least an opportunity to make that death run down into the valley. It's a good kill for Rain, but it's not enough to give them huge advantages. They need to get rid of Rocky Gyms, and they do, or at least Magic does for them. Bryn probably dying to the blue here. It's Monty and Rain that will have to make the run for Ferox, but even winning that duel isn't going to give them a whole lot of respite, because Magic is pushing up the hill over to their west, and even if they do have to go off the hill, which they will inevitably, it's not going to be fun for Ferox here. Grenade lands right on top of Rain, does a significant chunk of damage, forces him back to heal, and another grenade lands at his feet. So that's the end of Rain, and very likely the end of Ferox as well, because Magic are looking to push the issue.
Yeah. Unfortunately for Ferox, down to just Monty. Fortunately, though, for Ferox, they've picked up 6 kills this match. They do continue their turnaround from day 1 here onto day 2. Not quite the ending to this game that... how have you managed that, Monty? How have you managed that? He probably couldn't try. He couldn't do that again if he tried. Sophia looking to play spoiler though to Cerberus. That nade's going to fall a little bit short. Actually, further than the mark. Does get the headshot knocked down though onto Sololzi. It wasn't even a headshot actually. It was probably more his upper thorax. As there's still 3 up for Bay. If they can clear out Cerberus here, then they have got the entire eastern portion of this circle to themselves. Mip and Zuzu and From the Future are on the move though. And what they don't realize is they've just pinted themselves between Bay and LG Divine in this small little building that Mip and Zuzu has pushed himself into. This might not bode well for From the Future.
It may not, but at least they've got the advantage of high ground on Bay. They can look down on them, so Bay doesn't really have the ability to punish them inside of this building unless some good grenades, some good utility is utilized. And to be fair, FTF did have to make this move. They were outside of the zone in the compound that they were locking down, so they had to move to this house, or they had to move to somewhere, and making the run into the center of the circle just was not going to happen. So this was actually a good decision from them. They've made it work. They've got all of those players alive. They have XXX11165, what a name, still sitting back in the compound they were at prior, but he'll be hoping to rejoin the team soon. Either way, even if he doesn't make it, they've got 3 alive late in the game, and that's a good result.
I mean, I think Triple X is just a bit easier to say, but if you want to go with the numbers, Jordan, that's fine by me. I won't stop you.
This circle shift's quite interesting, though, because it is going to, for the first time, it feels like, force LG Divine From the Future Bay to actually move out of this stack of buildings that they've been locking down for the better part of 4 or 5 circle shifts. So now the onus is actually on them to make those moves.
Well, there goes that blue. Unfortunately, that's going to be the fairy tale run of Unicorn. Finished here for this match. From the Future, making their way out of this building and straight into the arms of Bay, who I think they're going to severely outnumber. Sophia just looks up and spots 3 members of From the Future in his face. Gypsy Danger, though, gets caught by Neferhor from behind. Unfortunately for Neferhor, not only the blue, but unfortunately he's on the low ground compared to Triple X and Bay are down to just Loki's, which is bizarre considering the positioning that they had in this game. You thought they would be able to do a little bit more with it. Only the 3 kills, 6th place finish in the end for Bay. Not sure if I would give that one a tick, considering the circle they had in the earlier stages of this match.
Monty's kept himself alive, which is great news for Ferox, top 5 placing. Now, he has run into a bit of an engagement here against FTF, and that might well be where his game does end. Look at the ground that he'd have to cross. It's just not going to happen against 3 players. But either way, getting some placement points where it otherwise looked like Ferox might go out a little bit earlier. And they keep that points tally ticking over nicely. From the Future, though, up to 10 kills, looking really, really strong at the moment. That said, they turn their attention to the ever-present threat of LG Divine. And from a position like this, 3v3v3, be potentially 2 now, do you really see LG Divine letting this one slip? The way that they have been able to close out games so far in PCS3, have to put my lot in with them here.
Yeah. And it sets the tone now, doesn't it, for LG Divine? It's been spoken about very clearly many times that they've been the kings of Miramar. Can they now be the kings of Erangel as well? Which in that point, well then, look, they were crowned champions of APAC in PCS2. They still very much are playing like champions. 81 points now. Certainly firm favorites. From this point onwards, it's just about keeping the pace that they have now set for themselves. Valix with a knockdown onto Veronica. Magic Esports continue to do well. They're in the top 4 at the moment in the leaderboard and look like they might be able to keep the pressure right onto Daytrade. Flash just gets caught before being able to get behind that shack in time. Nicely done from Tong K, who in my eyes maybe is probably almost the MVP right now of APAC. He's just been exceptional to watch for Magic Esports. They've got a very special player there as Jun will eliminate Hexagon and From the Future are out. And as you said, where do you see LG Divine losing this one? I personally don't. This would be 3 wins in a row, Jordan.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
I think it's been done in any PCS region.
Certainly not in APAC.
Certainly not APAC. We can definitely attest to that one.
Yeah, it's not easy to get 3 in a row. Not easy to get 1 at this level of competition, but it's certainly being made to look that way for LG Divine. Magic Esport, though, may play spoiler. It's a 3v3.
inside of the first 7 matches, they could potentially win 5 of them. Ridiculous. 5 out of 7, potentially. It's not done yet, though. And Magic Esports are the perfect team to play spoiler. As you said, led by Tong K. If they can get one knock on a very split Divine, it can really open up this battlefield. But the same could be said here as well. If Divine get a member, especially someone like Valix, who's a bit more on the edge, that's not a nade, that's a stun. It's not going to do too much. The Molotovs go out as well. I would suspect that the actual frag grenades, but both teams are at 0. I don't think they would have any, otherwise they would have been thrown out by now. Now it's about the smoke usage. As this Phase 9 blue does make its way in, it's the MC who gets the opening frag out of Alex. Syllaby goes down to the blue, too much damage. It's, you guessed it, LT Divine. Winner, chicken dinner. 5 of 7 to start PCS3 APAC. They don't know what losing is. They only win.
Respect my mind or die from last shot. I pray my dick get big as the apple time, so I can fuck the world for 72 hours. Goddamn, I feel amazing. Damn, I'm in the matrix. My mind is living on cloud.